Today on Locked On Red Wings, we recap the 6-2 Detroit Red Wings win over the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first preseason game of this exhibition season, and Filip Zadina just continues to dominate throughout training camp.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I am a podcast producer for WWJ News Radio 950. It's called The Daily J. Go check it out when you get the chance, as well as check out Locked On Tigers if you're a baseball fan. Scotty's the host over there. And check out some of Scotty's articles he writes for the Detroit News. You covering high school sports again this year, buddy?
I am, yeah. So for the fall, I'm doing swimming, and then I'm really pumped. For this show, there you go. I'll be covering high school hockey in the state of Michigan for the second year in a row in the winter. So
there you go. So check out all of this stuff, but specifically the hockey stuff. That's where you're really going to.
I can't wait, man. Last year was such a fun season for high school hockey in Michigan.
High school hockey is exciting, man. You get a real wide array of talent between high school hockey teams. But we're here to talk about the Red Wings, and they played the first exhibition game of the preseason. They went to Pittsburgh and they won 6-2 over the Penguins. And I think the thing that stands out the most, Scotty, above even Filip Zadina and how well he played, is just the fact that they went into Pittsburgh against a team that is mostly made up of guys that are going to be their starting lineup and outperformed them, out-hustled them, and dominated them to win 6-2. That stood out to me. Now, Max Bultman made a great point. He said, you got to keep in mind that when you're playing against a team full of veterans who don't have anything to prove in preseason and they're just getting warmed up, they're probably not playing as hard as a group of young kids trying to make the roster. So there's a motivation difference there. That is true. But you're still playing against guys who are far more experienced and far more talented than a lot of the guys that are on the Red Wings roster. And they went out there and they kicked ass today, to put it bluntly. Absolutely kicked ass. It was a fun game from after about a minute 30 in onward. After Pittsburgh got their one quick goal out of the way, onward. It was a really fun game. And, God, Filip Zadina and Dominik Kubalik looked electric.
I'm so amped right now. I can't. What a phenomenal way to start off preseason. And yes, even though I tweeted that I'm ready to raise the banner, doesn't mean I actually think that. You know what I mean? Like we're taking it with stride. It's game one of the preseason, but like you said, it is against almost the entirety of the NHL level of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that is an awesome sign. And yes, motivation is different, and it's game one of the preseason, and it really doesn't mean anything, but all we have is what we have, and we have this one game, and the Red Wings looked dang good in this one game. Absolutely electric. And, I almost think that, I do think
I hope you think
that the goal at the beginning of the game to then recover and put up 6 after going down 1-0 90 seconds into the game against basically the Penguins NHL team, that's honestly an even better sign to me. I think that's something that was lost kind of in the excitement of the night, is this team could have just been down 1-0 early. This is a 80% give or take, a NHL roster. This is literally the Pittsburgh Penguins. 1-0. Let's just not pack it in. Obviously, we're excited. It's game one, but I don't know.
Our expectations were probably pretty low, right?
Right, exactly. And I think being able to rebound from an early, punch in the jaw and to rebound and still put up 6 is very, very exciting. I'm so pumped.
And look at even at 5-on-5, or I'm sorry, let me scroll over to 5-on-5. At 5-on-5, the Red Wings were still dominated by shot attempts, Corsi for percentage. The Pittsburgh Penguins overall had a Corsi for percentage of 54% throughout the game. They had the edges and shots throughout the game. At 5-on-5, Penguins outshot the Red Wings 18-4 overall. It was 33-21. But really, it comes down to quality shots. Is the Red Wings had a lot of quality shot attempts that they took advantage of, and they made the Penguins make mistakes. And that's how you win hockey games. I mean, obviously, you want as many shots as possible, but it comes down to quality shots and taking advantage of mistakes and quality attempts at the same time. And Red Wings made sure that the Penguins made a plethora of mistakes throughout that entire game. You look at, I mean, for example, Dominik Kubalik's second goal. Casey DeSmith just very casually went behind the net. Didn't expect Kubalik to be playing as hard as he did. Stole the puck from DeSmith and wrapped it around the net. There were a lot of moments like that in this game where the Red Wings were playing very, very aggressive. And that includes on the penalty kill. I mean, I don't even know. There's so much I want to talk about in this game that I don't even know really how to approach it. I want to talk about special teams, but I also want to talk about Zadina and Kubalik, and both of those guys were really exciting tonight. And I don't know, where do you want to lead off with here when we talk about the game itself?
Well, I think I want to touch on something you said there, and I think that's where I want to start is, and this, I feel like we can kind of naturally transition into individual performance after, but I want to start with just the offense as a whole. I want to start with, like let's save the individual stuff for after. The team as a whole, I thought offensively, like you said, quality of shots was the biggest thing that stood out to me. This was not a game where at the end of the third period, the Red Wings, you look down and they had 50 shots, but the quality of shots was very encouraging. I thought that they were getting into the right places, that they were really trying to wreak havoc in the crease, which I really liked. I thought that there was a lot of good that came from just the quality of shots and the shot attempts that they did have. While it wasn't an overwhelming number, I was very encouraged by the quality of shots and how everybody was setting everybody up. And the biggest thing offensively was there was a huge lack of dump and chasing. And it just made me so happy. Like, that was, for me, that bigger than anything. That was the most apparent thing for this game. There was next to no dump and chasing. Even when they were up big in the third, still had the pedal to the metal. Like, some dudes are still playing for jobs. Like, that was the most apparent thing to me on the offensive side of the puck was there were actual, like, plays being ran and actual, trying to set everybody up and attacking. Just zone entry was just like existed. Like, it's not even like good or bad. It just literally happened, which is something that for games and games on end last season, we just didn't even have zone entry. That wasn't even part of the game plan, was entering the opponent's zone. So just seeing like there was some aggressiveness. There was a forecheck defensively, like aggressive again, like trying to cause turnovers, trying to wreak havoc like that. That was something that was prevalent all game. Like, again, we're not raising banners or anything, but just game one, when looking at what we watched for 82 last year, this is night and day. So I just wanted to start with I think, like, the team, how just everybody looked together rather than individual off rip.
No, I completely agree with you. And it's preseason game number 1, so we're not trying to plan the parade down Woodward quite yet. We'll wait until after game 2 of the preseason to plan the parade.
Is a good.
I think that's fair at that point to start calling Mayor Duggan up
then,
and being like, "Hey, guy, reserve
it's
spot."
fair game by then, yeah.
But yeah, they looked really good, and I mean, especially atop all of that is that top offensive line that they trotted out there, which was Michael Rasmussen at center. And Kubalik and Zadina on the wings. They looked really good. I mean, Rasmussen, that forward line was going up.
Is that a third line?
That is
right now. Don't even think about it. Is that our third line?
They played
opening
like a first
night.
line.
Is that our third line?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. That's an aggressive, like, Zadina's looked fantastic. Rasmussen gives you like a big body in there. And like we saw what Kubalik can do. Like, I think like the hype train on him, people are starting to realize why. Like the Wings went out and got to do like that. He's just going to let it rip, grip it and rip it. I love that as a third line. I love it. And it was the first line in this one, obviously.
Okay, so when it comes to Corsi for percentage, you want your Corsi for percentage to be 50.
Oh, we're so
right?
back. Brian's read me Corsi percentages. We are so back, baby.
There was no goals for percentages, expected goals for percentages followed in this game. But we got Corsi. Filip Zadina's Corsi for percentage in this game. Remember, 50 is where you want to be. 81.82%.
Nasty.
He was 30% above where you want to be in this game. His relative to his teammates, he was a 44.32%. So he provided 44%.
I love it.
It's so, again, preseason game number 1, I don't want to make too much out of it, and we got to go to break. I got to read this out of it.
It's almost not even I know we need to go to a break, but it's almost not even like
look at the
has Zadina ever looked like this in a preseason game either? No. So guess what? I don't care. For him specifically, the team expectations, whatever you can call preseason, for Zadina, he has not looked like this in a winged wheel at any point since being in a winged wheel, the preseason included, other preseasons included. So I don't care when it comes to him. He just looks great.
Getting these minutes, and so I keep saying I don't want to make too much out of it, but they were getting these minutes against the forward line of Sidney Crosby, Richard Raquel, and Jake Gensel, or Evgeny Malkin, Brian Rust, and Jason Zucker, as those two shared about the same amount of ice time. Those are two legitimate top 6 lines in the regular season against the Red Wings' presumed third line, and they dominated and out-hustled. Again, you want to keep in mind, there's a lot. They have those two forward lines have a lot less to prove.
Exactly going all out in game 1 of the preseason for sure.
But it is exciting to see that how motivated that entire line was, and we're going to continue this conversation because I want to talk about Kubalik and Rasmussen too because they also played very well.
Absolutely. But we need to even do the deep dive on Zadina. To be honest,
we haven't
even really. We haven't really done that even yet.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all of your latest developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to BetOnline.net. or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Let's keep talking about that top line because, man, were they good. Michael Rasmussen looked comfortable at center. He was providing a lot of offense, creating a lot of plays. He forcing turnovers. Dominik Kubalik he's as advertised. This is the Dominik Kubalik. Today's game was best case Dominik Kubalik, where he's flying down the wing, ripping shots, and then his power play goal, man, was exquisite. When who was it that passed that puck across the point to it? Was it Hronek? I can't quite remember.
Hronek had a good pass, but Zadina also had
Zadina had an assist on it. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it was one of the two. Regardless,
but that ripper he took from the blue line, I didn't even see it go in. That line chemistry was just very, very good. And Kubalik had a power play and a shorthanded goal. And all of Rasmussen, Zadina, and Kubalik all had 2 points in this game. Just that entire first line for the Red Wings today looked like they looked like the best line out there on both teams.
Correct. Yeah, they did. And it was awesome to see. I think if we want to take a deeper dive into some of the individual players, I guess, Zadina, unbelievable. Right. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. He looked like he was just on a different gear than everybody else on the ice, our team and Pittsburgh included. He looked just as good as he has in camp, and everybody's been raving about how good he's looked in camp. He looked phenomenal in this game. Where do we the thing that made it so fun to watch was the skating is the first and foremost. He really did. He just looked better and just more efficient, looked fast. But when it came to passing, great. When it came to scoring, grip it and rip it Zadina style too, man. Golly, that was he looked so good. And I hope, oh man, I'm going to be unbearable if this is the Zadina breakout season, as I'm sure a lot of us are. But he outside of yes, it's very easy to point to the passing and the goal and be look, this just objectively looks better than what we saw last season. That's all very true and very easy to point out. I thought, again, defensively, he was a menace. He was so aggressive, but I didn't think he was too aggressive. I don't think he overbid at any points, to my memory at least, and caused a big play on the other end. Like and again, especially on the forecheck, like that's something that last year non-existent. We just did the sit back thing and tried not to give up goals. And it was, if we had a lead, we're just going to park the bus. Like, no, this team with a lead was aggressive. And I know we can say it a million times. Like, I know it's preseason. I know it's whatever. Like, you're going to try some stuff. Maybe that's not how they look on game one of the regular season. Fine. But it's just refreshing and nice to know that it's possible for a Red Wings team to actually do these kind of things. And Zadina, just back to the original topic, like he defensively as well looked unbelievable, just as good defensively as he did offensively.
At one point during that game, this in one particular example that stood out in my mind was Evgeny Malkin was high in the offensive zone, his offensive zone, so the Red Wings defensive zone. And he went to wind up for a slap shot that he was faking for a pass. And as soon as he pumped it for the fake slap shot, Filip Zadina came up behind him, picked his pocket to take the puck away for an odd man rush the other way. Now, the announcers, of course, said, he lost the puck off his stick. I'm like, that's not what happened, but okay, cool. A lot of homerism.
The announcers also didn't know how to pronounce any Detroit Red Wings name.
You know what, though? Like, it's the Penguins broadcast, so I kind of expect
No. I'm not. I wasn't trying to be like, they suck at their jobs. Like, I'm sure they're great guys. It was funny. Like watching the game, it was like, that's not how you say that.
They called Soderblom at one point, but it doesn't matter because Yeah, they pronounce Hronik different every single time they said his name, but it was the Penguins broadcast team, so I didn't really care that much about it.
Like I said, I'm sure they're great at their jobs. It was literally just amusing to me, like more than anything. I wasn't mad about it. It was just funny.
There were certainly a lot of people who were mad about it on Twitter. I tell you that.
Well, yes, certainly.
But so let's dump a little bit of cold water on ourselves. Let's focus on it. We just raved about a big positive in that game, and that top three, or that top line rather. But one thing that the Red Wings have got to do better at is, and this is a problem that plagued them last week.
Yeah, there's one blatant one. Yeah,
is they took 9 penalties.
Like just inexcusable. Yeah,
like you cannot be taking 9 penalties, and I think a part of that might be, maybe it's nerves, it's antsiness, because like that is a windfall of playing high motor. Playing excited, having a lot of energy, wanting to prove yourself. Is you go out there, you play hard, you end up taking penalties, not intentionally, but things happen. You lose control of your stick. You end up poke checking a guy. They step on your stick, but that kind of stuff happens when you're all energy. No, I'm not saying that they weren't thinking, but
all gas, no break, baby.
Exactly. That's precisely what I was trying to say. So I think that might have had a little bit of an effect on it. Because I don't think they're average 9 penalty a night team. But
I mean, just like, looking at the penalties they got to, like they were all deserved. I'm not saying that they were like cheap or super soft penalties or anything, but I think that they're easily, I don't like using the word fix, but like easily development wise, like they're easy to correct. They're easy to point to and go, hey, like, don't do this anymore. You know what I mean? And I totally agree that I don't think that I don't think that this team is gonna have that many penalties. But again, we only have what we have, in the same way that we were talking about the positives. That is definitely something that cannot persist. I think that when it comes to penalties and such, there is. Well, I don't even know how to really explain what I'm thinking, but like this team, like game one of the preseason, aside from just the excitement, like maybe we're trying some stuff. Maybe we're trying to see what we can get away with a little bit. Like maybe it's the first time a lot of these dudes have played organized hockey in a few weeks. Like, aside from the prospects, maybe even a few months. Maybe it's just a little bit of rust we're kind of shaking off. But yeah, that's like blatantly the number one, if you were to rank the negatives, easily at the top is the amount of penalties they took. Now it kind of yin yang, like kind of turned into a little bit of a positive, because the Penguins didn't score a single goal on the power play, and like penalty kill looked really good. But
yeah, I mean the power play, the Red Wings penalty kill was very aggressive, which was surprising and very welcome. I loved how aggressive it was, because that's the thing too is, and it's not going to work 100% of the time, but it's worth trying out. And in this game, it worked very, very well because obviously the Penguins had something they wanted to try. They were trying to create set plays in the offensive zone by slowing the pace down. Red Wings obviously recognized that, and they attacked. They were aggressive, didn't give the Penguins an opportunity to think, and it created odd man rushes back down the other way. Obviously, Kubalik's goal came on a penalty kill. It was shorthanded. And then there was another opportunity. It was a 2-on-1 with Rasmussen and Zadina in the third period going down the ice. They were down. They were shorthanded. And they had a 2-on-1 because they were playing aggressive and not giving the Penguins time to slow down and set up plays.
Forecheck. It was beautiful.
So, like, they just weren't giving the Penguins the opportunity to try new things. They wanted to try new things, and they weren't giving the opportunity. Then the Red Wings got their 2 power plays, and they converted on both of them. And the one was the Dominik Kubalik's rocket of it. Oh, my God, that shot. We talked about it already, but that shot from the point was disgusting. I didn't see it go in. But then Steven Kampfer also converted from the top of the blue line. It was a nice screen in front that they thought maybe got tipped by Kubalik, but it was Kubalik and one of the Penguins players in front screening Tristan Jarry, so he couldn't see it. I mean, that's the stuff you got to do. They cycled the puck well, lots of good passing, and they took shots when the opportunity presented itself. So the special teams were a huge improvement in this game. Again, preseason game number 1, lots of teams trying new things, lots of mixed up lineups. So you don't want to get too excited. But when you're deprived of hockey like we have been since April, and this is the first game we see, and it's an absolute blowout, forgive us if we get a little bit excited.
We have what we have, baby. We have what we have, and this is the only thing we have, so we're going to be pumped about it.
Another guy that stood out, well, first of all, when we come back,
there you go.
We'll talk about goaltending in this one because goaltending also deserves a little bit of credit. When we come back, I never know how to do this transition to segment 3.
I always do on Tigers. I always do right after this.
Right. Okay. There we go. Right after this, guys. And we're back. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. We probably won't even have. I was listening on yesterday's episode just for feedback to see how we sounded, see what we could work on and improve on. And we didn't even have ad locators. Like I put them in, but there was no ads.
Oh, really?
And so it just went when we come back. Segment 3, it just rolled right into it.
Get that just always. So.
No, I was listening on Spotify. But yes, you're
right. Okay. I get what you're saying.
I listen on my way to commute on my way to work sometimes, just because I don't really feel like listening to music sometimes.
Yeah, you'd rather listen to my voice.
Yeah, yeah. Totally. Goaltending though. Anyways,
goaltending.
Victor Brattstrom let in a goal early in his minute 37 into the game, and I was a little bit like, "Oh, this
recovered nicely."
Yeah, he made 19 of 20 saves in 30 minutes of that game. He faced 20 shots in 30 minutes of game time and made 19 saves. He looked good. He looked solid, which is honestly a little bit, considering how many shots the Penguins had, I was very impressed with that performance in this game.
Yeah, no, me too. And obviously that was the handoff to everybody's, the big moment in that of everybody where Sebastian Cossa then came out. Let a goal in really early in his too, and then recovered nicely. So there you go. That was the theme, I guess.
Okay, but he let up a goal to Brian Rust, and Brian Rust is a really good hockey player. So
hey, no, for sure.
He ended up making
a nice move too.
I have it here. He ended up making 12 saves on 13 shots. So both of them had over a 900 save percentage, well over 900 save percentage in this game. So I mean,
big.
Cossa, yeah, he's very big,
dude. He takes up the net, man.
I thought Brattstrom mechanically was better. I think he's obviously you can see that he's had years more to develop as a professional goaltender. I think Kossa's positioning was a little bit more rough, a little bit more scrambly, but his size and athleticism more than made up for it, which is kind of the thing that people are talking about when they drafted him.
Well, yeah, like that's the thing is if you can get him mechanically sound, it's over. Like it's over for everybody else. Like he's just going to be dominant. So that's obviously the goal. But yeah, I think when you put it kind of like scrambly, is that what you said? Like I think that's a good way to put it because it was like loose around the edges. You know what I mean? Like it was definitely like in that if he made some stops and he looked good at times, but just even like simple stuff, just like I don't know, like pokes in front of the net or like trying to, like ice the puck or something. Just like didn't look as as clean or sharp. Maybe that's I guess what I'm trying to say, as he could have mechanically. But I mean, for his first taste of NHL action, literally in his life, I thought that it was a pretty respectable performance.
That is literally what I was about to say. I was like, I mean, up until this point, he had only played in the Western Hockey League, a major junior hockey league, and now his first game, not counting prospects tournament and the red and white game, his first game as a professional hockey player is against some of the best players in the league in the Pittsburgh Penguins, because that was close to their starting lineup. Again, effort with notwithstanding, but I mean, that's a hell of a lineup to go up against. And he made 12 out of 13 saves. And yeah, he looked a little scrambly, but as the game progressed, he locked it down a little bit more. So there's probably some nerves in there too. I mean, this is the first time he's walked onto the ice to face an NHL hockey team.
Right.
So, I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack, because I think he still played pretty well. I was happy with his performance, because, I mean, as much as Victor Brattstrom played phenomenal, he's not the future of the Detroit Red Wings. That's not what people are looking at him to be. It's Sebastian Cossa is supposed to be the future. That's why you drafted him 15th overall. So you're gonna be a little bit more critical of Cossa, even though he is the younger goalie, the less refined goalie, just because he's got that pedigree. Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. I also want to shout out Elmer, Soderblom, and Jonatan Berggren. Still don't know on that one, but Berggren and Soderblom
by Berggren.
They looked great.
Great pass by Berggren. That was the big standout. Little wrap around the net action there. He looked fantastic. Yeah, Soderblom looked really solid as well. I mean, that's somebody who, didn't get too much like ISO time, I guess I'll call it, right? Like, didn't get too many opportunities like with the puck on his stick to like really, but as far as positioning, like off the puck, I mean, he was stellar, and obviously that led to the goal. So yeah, I thought that he looked really solid. Trying to think of anybody else.
Well, if I could tack on a little bit, I think Soderblom, he showed flashes. I don't think he was never bad in the game, but he never, like, when he was on the ice, obviously besides his size, he wasn't always doing something that stood out to be like, okay, he's really playing
I think
well.
That's what I was trying to say, is like there was never like a moment where he really had an opportunity, whether it was an opportunity wasn't really presented itself or whether it was just he didn't really do it. I definitely agree. I think that he didn't really have many chances to really stand out and kind of explode. But
I was really impressed with Berggren the entire game.
Yeah,
I think he looked very comfortable. He's definitely going to be getting NHL ice time at some point this year, because he looked, next to that top line. I would argue that Berggren looked probably the fourth best as a forward on that team. I think he looked the most comfortable. His vision was very good. His skating was good. His decision making was good. I mean, he's the one who made that. I mean, so they left Soderblom wide open.
Yeah,
back door. I don't know what they were doing. They were watching the puck the entire time, but
yeah, that looked like the February Detroit Red Wings defense last year.
Right. But Berggren saw him open back door and made a real smooth tape to tape pass. I mean,
just great. The whole play. I mean, like I said, the around the net thing. Like, I mean, he really had the puck on a string there. It looked good.
And
do we do Kubalik? We did talk about Kubalik.
We did talk about Kubalik. Okay. I said he was as advertised, best case scenario.
Yeah. No, I just, like, he's not going to have 2 goals every night, obviously, but that is an aggressive dude. Like, he, like, play style wise, like, he is going to charge the puck and he is going to let it rip. And I cannot wait. That's something that last year this team desperately needed. Can't wait to see it more. We talked special teams a little bit, right? Like, penalty kill obviously was fantastic. It was perfect as far as results go. Really, yeah, we did talk about penalty kill. Power play.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was good. They only got 2 opportunities, but they converted on both of them.
Yeah.
We haven't talked at all about defense, though. I do think Olimata and Filip played very good. I was actually surprised by how aggressive Olimata was as somebody who was marketed as a defensive defenseman. I saw him join the rush. I saw him skate the puck up. I was very impressed. And
that was like the theme of the night, man. Like, again, like it was just and like injected in my veins. I'm a huge fan, but like it like the forecheck was something I haven't seen a Detroit Red Wings team that aggressive on a forecheck like since the Bush administration. Like it was remarkable. It truly was awesome to watch. And yeah, I'm amped.
You literally just said the Bush administration. That caught me off guard. All right. There was one other thing. Hockey. Let's take a look at hockey stat cards. We're back, right?
We
We
are
can do
so
this.
back.
We're so back.
So
I'm pulling
back.
up hockey stat cards. Look, the Red Wings did very well for themselves today. And when was the last time we saw the Red Wings hockey stat card look that good on the positive side of 0? Incredible. And I mean, it's
never.
as to be expected. Filip, Zadina, Dominik, Kubalik, Michael Rasmussen, Filip, Olimata, Tyler Speezy has a bit of a surprise on here. How high they have him listed as having dominated, because if you actually look at the natural stat trick, Corsi 4 percentage wise, he was a negative impact on the ice. When he was on the ice, Pittsburgh Penguins got more shot attempts than the Detroit Red Wings did. But it says here on hockey stat card that he was the fifth best rather. So clearly there's some discrepancies in how these algorithms do it. And that just reminds all of us that, nothing is straightforward. But when they align like they do at the top 3, that's when like, okay, these guys are doing something right. Filip, Zadina, Dominik Kubalik, Michael Rasmussen dominated. If you scroll down a little further, you'll see Elmer Soderblom was a positive impact on the ice as everywhere except for miscellaneous off the puck stuff. Right. Which, I mean, that's what we saw. There's very few guys who didn't contribute positively in this game. And honestly, the guys who didn't contribute positively in this game, I agree with. I mean, these are guys that I did not notice. And when I did notice, it's because they were giving the puck up or getting reamed along the boards. I remember specifically Dominik Shine got reamed along the boards in one of the option. A little disappointed that Cross Hannes is all the way at the bottom of this list. I was really looking forward to his performance, but also first time on the NHL ice. So that is what it is. But yeah, I mean, overall, you look at this and the Red Wings dominated, man. If you look at I'm not going to pull it up, but Hockey Stat Cards has like overall top performance of the night. And Dominik Kubalik and Filip Zadina were 3 and 4 on that list out of all the preseason games that happened tonight, which is, it's just nice to see, man. Again, there's not much in the end. There's not much to take away from a preseason game, especially the first preseason game, but it's okay to get excited. It's okay to see the positives in this game and say, okay, this is what we are capable of if they can carry this over into the regular season. Like, you see the highs tonight. You see the best case scenarios tonight. It's okay to get excited about that, but just remember in the back of your head, it's preseason.
Absolutely.
I will never tell somebody not to get excited.
Yeah, no. Never tell anyone how to be a fan.
All right. Anything else? Did we cover it all?
We're so back. We ball.
Back. It's going to be really tough, especially in the early weeks of the season, to keep these episodes under, like, technically we're supposed to keep them under 30, but we like to shoot for 35. But it's going to be so hard because there was like tonight. I mean, we could have talked all episode about that.
Well, especially like line. Again, like we're going to see a whole new personnel group tomorrow night, probably. You know,
that's
what I mean?
Another thing. There's a game tomorrow. I mean, we can't really preview it because, we have no idea what the lineup's going to look like,
play and whatnot. Yeah, but I mean, like we're going to see a whole new like Red Wings team. Basically, it's going to be a whole new personnel group. So like,
give me Simon.
But
yeah, we'll be back with a new game recap tomorrow. Recapping preseason game number 2 of 8 against the Chicago Blackhawks. That one tips off at 7:30 p.m. and it is on Bally Sports Detroit X and is going to be on WWJ News Radio 950.
Plug.
That's where I work, guys.
Plug.
You can listen to that one on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. That's also where you can catch us at, as well as Spotify and Apple.
Look at that.
Be back on Thursday. Wait, this is Wednesday's episode. Same time, same place. It's your team. Every day.
Every day.